I worked at a construction site, hauled concrete, spent nights in the cold. Life teaches you to be strong, but everything changed that fall when I found myself in the forest, holding a shovel in my hands, and he was standing next to me, in a clown mask, looking at me without blinking. It all started with a party. I went out to smoke, to walk a little in the fresh air. Someone said that there was an old path not far from the house. Children used to run there to get scared. Supposedly a maniac lived there. Drunk, I went there alone. Stupid, very stupid. When I came to, it was dark. Forest, wet ground. My head was buzzing. I threw up right under myself. I was lying in a hole, not deep, but with smooth edges. Next to me, a shovel and someone's body, already starting to smell. And over the edge of the hole, him, the clown. The mask was rubber, worn, with a creepy grin that seemed to have been glued on forever. A red nose, empty black eyes. He didn't speak. He simply pointed to the shovel and slowly ran his finger across his throat. I realized that if I didn't start digging, they would bury me. And I dug, every night. Each time a new guest in the hole, sometimes dead, sometimes still warm, crying, begging for mercy. He brought them one after another, and I dug, and he sat next to me, rocking back and forth, humming something about a birthday and a cake. Sometimes he took out a katana, old, eaten away by rust, but deadly sharp. He never swung it like an executioner. He only touched it to the forehead of a passerby. A light touch, and the person froze. His eyes glazed over. His speech slowed down. And then he would whisper, "You love children, don't you? Do you want them to stop suffering?" And the person would become his servant. Strangers, passers-by, even a nurse from the local clinic. They would help him. They would smile. They would persuade the children to come with them. Then they would disappear. They would help kill. And the next day, they would remember nothing. The police began an investigation when 6 children disappeared in a week. I was found half dead, exhausted, with a shovel in my hand. I told them everything as it was, about the holes, about the clown, about the katana, and about the children. They didn't believe me until they found the toys, the bodies, the balloons, and the empty, perfectly dug holes. The investigation became national, but everything went wrong. The clown knew how to manipulate. He hypnotized the police. He replaced the evidence with laughter. One detective shot himself in the temple after questioning a witness who described how a clown with a blade patted him on the head and disappeared into the shadows. A folding box of marbles appeared at the station. When it was opened, there was only one item inside, a note. "You're already under the mask. You just don't know it yet." The investigators started going crazy. One started laughing when he saw a photo of a dead child. Another disappeared and was found in the forest, digging a hole. He thought he was a gardener. And I'm still alive. But I'm not sure if I'm really alive. Because sometimes I feel the cold metal on my forehead. And I hear a voice. "You're a good boy, aren't you? Do you want to help? Take a shovel. Now we'll play." Sometimes he brought in those who were still breathing. They screamed, begged for help, asked for forgiveness. But their screams grew quieter with each passing moment until they turned into a whisper. After the clown touched their foreheads with his katana, they froze. He didn't kill right away. He liked to play with them. He would whisper in their ears how happy they would be, how he would make them special. Then slowly, meticulously, he would begin to cut out their eyes. Not just cut them out, he would take them out with such precise, cold movements that sometimes I couldn't tell when he started and when they were no longer human. The eyes. He cut them out with some special zeal, as if they were not just organs of perception, but keys to some hidden knowledge. I saw his hands covered in red rise and fall each time he took out another eye, wiping it with blood and replacing it with toy glass eyes, the kind a doll has, with small, lifeless pupils. He turned each victim into something more than just a corpse. They became part of his game, and just as he took their eyes, he took their souls. The next day he came again with a new man, then another and another, and me, with a shovel, with eyes like dolls, and with a feeling that maybe I too had already become part of the game. I saw these victims standing nearby, mute and empty, as if they had never been people. Every day, every new person, the clown brought them, making them part of his world, and I, standing in the hole, knew that if I did not dig, if I did not do as he demanded, he would cut out my eyes. Just like that. But the worst thing was that I no longer felt afraid. I didn't care what was happening, because I couldn't forget his eyes. I saw them everywhere. Glassy, empty, always looking at me, as if he was watching my every move, as if I was already a part of him. The FBI finally decided that they could no longer ignore this nightmare. They began to search for real, but they didn't know what they were going to stumble upon. I remember the moment when FBI agent John Harris, a seasoned detective who had been following the case from the beginning, found something that would change his life forever. He was the first to reach one of the old bunkers where the clown hid with his victims. His reports said they had found a doll with real eyes. He thought it was just a terrible mistake. He cut the doll open to find, what? Eyeballs cut out of living people, replaced by toys, erased by time. Glass eyes, empty and meaningless, in which there was nothing more than a shadow of what had been. But what he saw the next second could not be forgotten. He looked into the eyes of this doll, and suddenly it seemed to him that this was not just a doll. The eyes began to move. They began to move as if someone was trying to see from the inside again. He felt his heart skip a beat, and before him appeared the unimaginable, an empty place where there was no person, only a mask. That night, Harris began to go crazy. He became like all those who came before him. He laughed, he cried, he forgot where he was. The next morning they found him in the forest, standing with a shovel, digging another hole. His eyes were cut out, and in their place, toy glass eyes. I'm still here. I can't leave. Sometimes I don't know if I'm waking up or if this is all a continuation of the game I became a part of. Because now I feel something cold, metallic, something very familiar, touching my forehead, and I hear a voice. You're a good boy, aren't you? A present is waiting. Help us. Shall we play? Every day I feel more and more that I am becoming a part of this game. What if I am no longer alive? What if I am already someone's toy? The clown did not simply kill. He created a world where children were not just victims. He was a master of deception, manipulation. He gave toys to children, each time something new, unusual. Small toy cars, dolls with wigs, glowing balls, toys that at first glance seemed kind, colorful, but in his hands they became traps. He slipped them to children, always with a smile, always with a quiet, creepy whisper. Here, you have a gift. This is for you. And every time the children took them, things that were supposed to bring joy, but they didn't. Each toy became a link, guiding the child into a dark corner, where he was no longer just a test subject, but a part of his game. As soon as they found themselves in these dark corners, deep in the forest or abandoned buildings, the toys became a death sentence. The light from their eyes dimmed, and the emptiness in their souls grew. Then he came. He always came, with a katana in his hands. Quietly, soundlessly. He came out of the shadows and approached the children, sometimes without visible movement, as if he were the shadow itself. And then he whispered in their ears, making them freeze. You like to play, right? And then the game began. He cut out their eyes, like he did with the others. But with the children, it was a special activity. The toys they held in their hands became the instruments of their death. He did not kill them immediately. He made them feel that everything was okay, that they could still leave. But it was too late. The toys held them like handcuffs. Slowly, with the smell of a corpse, life slipped away. And at the very moment when life was waning, he touched their foreheads. The same cold metal of the katana, the same movement. And then, silence. The toys lay nearby. But there were no people to hold them. The police could not understand for a long time what was happening. They investigated the disappearances, but they could not find a connecting thread. The clown was a skillful manipulator. He left no traces. He was a ghost. His every action was so carefully thought out that the police, as if in a trap, could not understand where his influence began and where his game ended. He always came to the dark corners, where children, filled with love for toys, went without fear. Where he was. I am alive, but I am not sure that I'm alive. Sometimes it seems to me that I myself have become part of this nightmare. Every time I feel this cold on my neck, when I hear his steps and a toy appears in his hands, I cannot get rid of the thought that I too am his next victim. And one of us will someday say that all this was just a nightmare. But I know he will not leave. He is already inside, and children are only the beginning. Every child to whom he slipped a toy became more than just a victim. He became part of a big game, part of his terrifying world, where even silent toys were weapons. They didn't just manipulate children, they were omnipresent, like yellow balls that glow in the dark. But when they touch your skin, they become a curse, or dolls with empty eyes that seem cute and harmless until they start whispering. All the toys he brought with him were disguised. They weren't just things, they were traps. Even worse, after a child died, the clown would leave their toys at the crime scene. As a reminder, the same ball, the same doll. And you couldn't understand. If the toy is alive and the child is not, then what about you? What did he do to your soul? The police gradually realized these disappearances were not an accident. This was not just a maniac. This was an executioner who playfully controlled every detail. And when FBI agent Harris came across one of the remaining toys in the woods, he felt something strange. He was sure that this toy was not just a trinket. When he touched it, he felt the cold penetrate his hand, and his fingers froze. His eyes darkened for a moment, and the air around him seemed to become thick. He thought that it might be an infection, some kind of harmful chemical, but suddenly, his consciousness darkened. He was no longer himself. The toy in his hand began to vibrate. The same ball that he had picked up began to turn. He saw how the toy froze, as if something entered it, as if it was coming to life. Harris's eyes, clouded by the fog, could not understand what was happening. Strange thoughts began to flicker in his mind. He heard a voice whispering in his ear. You can see the truth. You can become his friend. Become a part of him. He's waiting for you. When he woke up, he was already in the forest, standing in the shadows. He had a toy in his hands. Empty eyes looked at him as if he were their new master. And now in front of him, there was a dark figure that was smiling. It was a clown. Harris couldn't understand what was happening to him. His body, his soul, everything was under his control. He was a part of him. That night, Harris left. He was no longer a detective. He was a toy like all those who became part of the game. He became the one who came. Like everyone else, he led children into the forest, into a dark corner where toys became their last gift. And when they found themselves in this trap, he brought a katana to their foreheads, leaving them in the shadows. The police never understood what happened to Harris. They found his tracks. They found his body, but it wasn't him. It was something else, something empty. Every time they picked up the tracks, the toys were still there. And the clown was somewhere nearby, hiding in the shadows. The games went on. I'm back with a shovel in my hands. Now I know for sure that he's here again. I can feel his eyes on me, even if I can't see him. He's not leaving. He's never leaving. Every time I dig, I remember that with every step I become a part of him. Just like all those children he used. Toys, all this is his game. And soon I know he'll come again. He'll always be there, with a toy in his hands, and I'll be a part of him again. I can no longer tell where reality ends and his world begins. He surrounds me. He penetrates me. Every time I dig, I feel the cold. He gets closer with every step. His katana glitters in the night, and I know that I can't leave. I felt his gaze behind me. I heard his footsteps, but when I turned around, he was gone. Just a dark shadow playing with my soul. Suddenly a sound, a soft whisper, his voice. You're ready. You've become part of the game. You see now, right? And then a toy appeared in front of me. A small doll, blood dripping from her eyes, her mouth twisted into a terrible smile. I understood. It was a toy for me. I became part of his game. Like everyone before me, he would not let go, never. But here's the worst part. I turned around and saw the other people he had already caught standing nearby, their empty eyes no longer holding life. They were part of him, and now I was too. We stood there like toys, like shadows of his world. But when I looked at the doll in my hands again, I felt her come to life. She began to speak. Her small hands seemed to touch my skin. "You're mine now." I saw her smile. And then, as in her eyes, a light appeared that was familiar to me, a light that I knew. And then I understood. I myself became the one I was afraid of. I became the one who would give toys. I became a clown.